Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today, Zevachim daf Ayin Gimel. We are going to begin on the second line from the bottom of Ayin Gimel and Aleph. We had a really short daf in yesterday's daf, but let's continue where we left off. So, our Mishnah 2 blot ago, the beginning of the parak, discussed if you have an example of a chatas shemesais, that you have a situation where there's 5 categories actually of this. But let's just focus on one where you have a carbon chatas and the owner died before it was brought. So the din is that this animal is destroyed, it dies. So what happens if it gets mixed up with other animals? So the Mishnah said that's it. It's they're all the same, and therefore because of that, there's no din bittul. And on this, yesterday's daf asked why not? There should be batul barov. So we gave 2 answers. Because it's possible, because this is a davar shebeminion, this is something which is sometimes counted, like the case of liter katzios, like the case of these pressed dried figs, since they're sometimes counted, but not always, these behemoths, because sometimes they're sold in mass bulk, like, for example, a herd, so they're not always counted, so therefore, we could hold like that opinion of kol shadar manos. Now, again, not everyone holds like that. Some people says es shadar manos, which means it would not be considered to be a davar shebeminion. However, according to Rabbi, as we concluded, he said that there's another reason. It's because any animal which is alive is considered to be chashiv, bali chayim chashivi, and therefore they're not batal. Right? Obviously, every person is important, but every living creature is chashiv. Okay. So now the Gemara asks a different question. So, okay, fine. We can't just say they're batal barov. So why don't you just take one of them and the name of kol parish muba parish? We have this general concept. We find this in many places, in Tefillas HaShachar, and so many places in Shas, of course, that we go basarov. And therefore, because achar muhatos, so just say that one of the animals will be separated, and then we go. When it separates, we go after the majority, and the majority of the animals are good karbanos, so therefore you should be able to bring it. So my answer is, you can't say that, because nimsheich, just to remove one, you can't do that. As Rashi says, bit meal, like how could you think that you could just simply do such a thing? It certainly is not allowed. Rashi goes more into it. So habali kavua, that's comparable to the case of a din of kavua, when it's all the things are in one place set. And we say, as we continue already to Amud Beis, the whole kavua kamexel mechsadami. Once it's kavua, it's 50-50. Even though it's maybe a 1 to 10,000 ratio, it doesn't matter. We consider it halachically like 50-50, and therefore it doesn't work. You can't just do that. Okay, so these are animals that move around, so nich v'shinhu denaidi. Why don't you make the animals move around, and by doing that, the name of kol parish muba parish, then you could follow this. So don't take the animal, let the animal just kind of go on its own and then grab it. So why isn't that accepted? So Omer Ravo, which is through the parentheses, Hashnem Rabbanan lo nikarev, we don't allow it, because Gezer Shem Yavo Yud Kohanim V'Asachas V'Yakrivu. You can't do that, because what if 10 Kohanim come at the same time and it's makravit? So what exactly does that mean? So let's look at Rashi. Let's say that he took one each, umakriv kama kama, and they took one. Equal member the cholchad the karv beheter. So you could say that each one, you're right, is beheter. The meruba parish v'yisur hana bahani defaishihu. Abul Hashda, the Karvi Kiadodi, they're all here to be makrivs. So you have all these Kohanim, and Kohanim is reason. Let's say they grab all these animals at the same time. Lo havi hani de paishi rubel gabayhu. We don't find that there's like rove left or anything like that. It's kol de parsh ruba parsh, fine. But you could maybe say that they're all taken at the same time, like 10 Kohanim could come, and that would become a problem. So I'm going to Rava El Miato 1 second. Megisa Asira from in the bowl, it should be Aser. Mishum Shema Yavi Yud Kohanim B'Vas Achas V'Yikchu Basar Kohanim B'Vas Achas Mi'efshar. So what does that mean? Says Rashi, V'chima Acher Shimoshchu V'Lokhu Echad Echad Levado. They keep taking themselves. What happens if V'Shachtan, the Shecht, they kibul daman b'megas, and the blood was in a bowl, b'chazaka shu kosher, chayzrin mitzdarfin hashchutin liyesuroiv le'iser. Maybe they're gonna go and take these bowls, and they're gonna mimstarif all of them together and be usher. So we say, no, that's not gonna happen. We don't see that as a reality, says Rashi. Bishul mazrika v'haktara ika l'meimra b'vasachas. I can understand throwing the dam or doing the haktara. That could happen many kohanim at the same time. But kicha, when it comes to taking the bowl, kivan dichav shinhu v'naidi kuam, since they're all moving around, efshul samsim l'kichasan. Maybe they could do it exact. Halot tzarich lirdoiv l'hasik kol echad. So your answer is Ella Oimerava Mishum Kavua. What does that mean? So Rashi says Gezerah Mishum Kavua. Dilma Asli Mashech Lisrinu Chad Kilo Naidid Habli Kavua. So Valeka Lemismach Lema de Meruba Parish. You're right. There technically we should say Kol de Parish Meruba Parish, but in this situation, we're afraid that you may end up bringing a kavua animal as a carbon. So even though it's true, maybe kol parsh, meruba parsh, here we're concerned that it may not be done that way. This is question 4. Madua ain't the kanal zevachim shnisarbu dinaidi. So basically, what we just said is gezer shem yikach min hakavua, the lo naidi, kamechsel mechsadami. Okay, that's the answer. Which is the same question as TA23, same question as TB26. It's kind of hard to come up with a lot of questions over here. Omarava. So Hashne Marabanan lo nakriv. Now that we said you can't be makriv of these karbanos, so iyakriv karev. Let's say Yutaka did lo maritzi, then you will not achieve atonement, and the carbon is considered to be disqualified. That it's a dichui midrabanan. It doesn't matter, even though the animal it's alive. We don't care. We say that's a dichui, and as Rashi says out of the parentheses, b'shuv enu chayis v'nira. So if it's a nincha, so it can't. It's either it's a nira v'nincha. We don't say chayis v'nira. Afal pi says Rashi shemachshirin shemehen ruin l'hakrava. Even though the majority of these animals really are okay, hoyel v'ninchu. Since it got mixed up with this even one animal, we say nidchul gamri. It's mamish considered like it's puzzle. So therefore, it's not maratza. It's completely disqualified. So Esvei, is that really true? Rav Huna bar Yehuda Rava. So he asked a question. Chatois, and this is referring to birds. Shnis arva b'oyla. So you have a chatas oaf mixed up with also oaf, vice versa. So again, it's a problem because an oilus oaf is kul kolil, chatas oaf is not. Also, the oila is yavdil, as we saw before, the simanim, and not the chatas. So b'medibar morin b'koyin nimloch. That's the kohen who's consulting us, like chatchila. Let's say he just keeps to himself and he doesn't really like talking to us so much. So asimumala mechsa kasher umechsa pasul. If he did above, so half is kosher and half is pasul, because again, when it comes to the oil oaf, the zrika is on the top, the chatas oaf is on the bottom. So if he did this, so half of it was good, half it wasn't good. Lamata, if he did half, he did all of them on the bottom. So again, mechsa kosher, mechsa pasul, because at least half of them is a chatas oaf, which the zrika is on the bottom. It becomes more problematic if achas lamata v'achas lamala. Then we kind of don't know. So either he did everything right or everything wrong. There was named psulos. Shani Oimer, we say they're both pasul. Shani Oimer, because I say chatos kriv l'mal v'oil kriv l'mata, right? It's possible that you did the chatos above and the oil below. But anyway, this is the kasha. The kasha still stands that apparently that if you did it, even though these animals are mixed up, so if you didn't get consulted and you just did it, it kind of does work. So how could you tell me that and these animals were mixed up? So it's nira, it was nidcha, so it's chayz v'nira. So we say at least half of them work. Ella hakamandi yomer bali chaim nidchin, hakamandi yomer bali chaim en nidchin. So it's just depending on the shita that you hold. If you hold that bali chaim are nidchin, right, that even while it's alive, and therefore that's it, they're alive, and therefore you can't do it anymore, which is our case. However, this statement about these birds is according to the Mandiyam, the Bali Chaim in nidchin. The fact they're alive, we don't say it's nira v'nidcha. The fact is, it's nira, even though it's all mixed up, and therefore, if you did it without consultation, half of them are okay. If again you did all the blood applications on the top or the bottom. Okay, so Hari Shchutin, when it comes to shchita, Dukuliyalma nidchin. So the whole question is if it's alive, right? But if you have an animal that was already shechted, everyone holds, right? Even if you hold that bali chaim or nidchin, but everyone holds that the animal was already shechted, that already makes it nidcha, according to all people. So if that's the case, we have another question. Ayin Daled Amud Aleph. It's Tanan, Rabbi Lezer Oimer, he says, which Rashi is Chanan HaMitzri, he says, Im Karav Haroshel Echad Mehen, if the Kohen, again, doesn't ask, and he's makriv the head of one of them, Yakrivu Kol Haroshim, he can be makriv all the heads. Look at Rashi. Diafil B'shchutin Leisli Dechia, right? Because Rabbi Lezer holds, apparently, even if it's an animal which is shochut, so that's going to be the answer. So apparently we see, even though it's shechted, and you could still do it. Meron says, "Hudi Omer kachanan mitzri the sign kachanan mitzri Omer I feel dam b'kois maybe chaveru umazavigloy." So he holds that when it comes to even if an animal is shechted, we still say it's not nidcha. Okay, enu nidchen, even bali shchutois. How do we see this? Even if it's dam, says Rashi, sir hanas bifnim. Let's say you have the goat in which was brought inside b'kois, and the dam is in a cup. Obviously, shikvar nishchat, the seir was already shechted, says Rashi. Imeis hamishtaleyach, this is on Yom Kippur. If the other goat, one which the scapegoat, died, so maybe chavero min ashuk, you bring another animal, umazavig ladam, and it can combine with the dam. Now, what do you mean? You have to have both of them. So this animal died after the shechita, and you have the seir's dam in a kos. We don't say that since the scapegoat died, you should spill this blood, that you should bring two animals. No, we don't say that. So because Chanan HaMitzri, actually, we can just say that that's this Shitas Yochid that holds that when it comes to even an animal that's already been shechted, we still can say it's not doiche. However, our Mishnah holds that Bali Chaim are nidchin, and therefore is nira v'nidcha, we don't say chayz v'nira, and therefore if you would have been makriv it, lo yiratza, it's disqualified and it doesn't work. Ad kan.